The newest biome to Valheim, the Ashlands, has given us a new tamed animal to keep us company in the 10th world, the Asksvin. In this video we'll be running through how to tame the Asksvin, how to breed them, and how these creatures will make your Ashlands adventure a much smoother ride, giving you access to some of the best foods, armour and weapons currently in the game. You'll find the Asksvin on the landmass regions of the Ashlands. They don't seem to spawn too much along the coast, so head inland if you're struggling to find some. Taming the Asksvin follows the same mechanics as taming boar, wolf and lox, and is made a heck of a lot easier by first capturing your target. Asksvin are pretty powerful, so if you want to make an enclosure for them, you'd best opt for a heavy build material, such as black marble, iron cage or Grouston stone, at least 4 meters high. But personally, I think digging a steeply edged ditch or using a combination of both approaches is the better option, as the Asksvin won't be able to escape no matter how hard they ram the bedrock. You can then either bait the Asksvin into the enclosure or use the abyssal harpoon to drag it into your pit. Come on, buddy. Okay, we got one. As you'll need 2 Asksvin to begin breeding them, I recommend taming 2 at once. But be careful they don't try to piggyback their way out of their enclosure. For the taming process to begin and progress, the following 3 conditions must be met. The Asksvin must be within the active area, can't be alerted, and can't be hungry. Inside the active area just means that there's a player within 64 meters of it. So you'll need to stay relatively nearby if you want to tame the Asksvin fast. You'll see if the Asksvin is alerted by the red exclamation mark above its head, and its status, which will change to frightened. The Asksvin will become alerted if they take any damage or detect the player nearby. In these cases, the Asksvin might try to break out of whatever enclosure you've put it in, so make sure you're as sneaky as possible not to alert them as they tame. While dwarves are normally a relief to find in the Ashlands, if any wander into your camp, they will try and kill your taming Asksvin, and may have to be dealt with. I'm gonna have to kill you. I'm gonna have to kill you. You left me no choice. You left me no choice. You can tell if the Asksvin is hungry by looking at its status when you hover over it. These guys are pretty fussy and only seem to eat vineberry clusters, smoke puffs, or fiddleheads, all found within the Ashlands. One single food item will keep an animal fed for 10 minutes. And since this taming process lasts at minimum half an hour, you'll need to make sure that you have at least 3 food items per animal you want to tame. But I would chuck in a stack of at least 5 per animal, just to be safe. If all 3 of these conditions are met, the Asksvin status will change to acclimatizing, and yellow hearts will start to appear above it, signifying that taming is underway. If at some point taming is interrupted, either if the animal becomes hungry or it becomes alerted, or the player moves too far away from the animal, the taming progress will pause. But once all 3 conditions are met again, taming will resume right where it left off. Taming will progress by 1% every 18 seconds, so if you can manage to avoid any of these interruptions, taming will be 100% complete in just 30 minutes. Once your Asksvin has finally been tamed, you'll get a message pop up on the screen and little hearts will appear above the animal. As with the other tameable animals in the game, you'll be able to pet it and change its name. Your tamed Asksvin are now part of the player's faction, which means they'll now be enemies with the surrounding Ashland mobs. How you doing, buddy? Oh. So, if you haven't got a very secure base up and running, I recommend covering your Asksvin's enclosure to try and reduce the attacks from mobs. At this point, you could of course try to bring your new Asksvin home with you in the new ship, although results may vary. But trust me, as long as you have 2 successfully tamed Asksvin in the Ashlands, it will be so much easier to quickly breed them here and bring home the young instead. You'll see what I mean. For the most part, breeding works in a very similar way to how the Asksvin were tamed, but there are a couple more factors you'll need to take into consideration. Breeding is only possible if the Asksvin is within the active area, not alerted, and not hungry. There will also need to be a suitable partner for the animal nearby, which also needs to be tamed, not hungry, and not pregnant itself. Normally with breeding in Valheim there is also a limit on the number of individuals that can be in the surrounding area. but for Asksvin, at least currently, they don't seem to mind a bit of overcrowding. Even in my 20-meter pen of 30 individuals, the Asksvin continue to reproduce. In every one of your fully grown tamed Asksvin, these 5 conditions will be checked every 30 seconds. If during one of these checks all 5 of the conditions for breeding are met, there is a chance that that individual will gain a love point, as indicated by the hearts above it. Once an Asksvin gets 3 love points, that individual will become pregnant, and after 90 seconds, out will pop an Asksvin egg. Yep, these guys lay eggs. Big eggs. You can of course hatch your baby Asksvin here in the Ashlands, but if you're anything like me, I was straight through that portal, eggs in hand, back to the safety of my meadow space. Wherever you choose to hatch your Asksvin egg, you'll need to drop it, not as a stack, within range of a heat source, such as a campfire, hearth, or hot tub. Different heat sources have different ranges, but you'll be able to tell whether a particular spot is in range if it has the fire effect in the top right corner. As with chicken eggs in the game, when the egg is within range of a heat source, its status will change from too cold to warm. Once warm, the egg will take 30 minutes to hatch. However, if something interrupts the egg's warmth, like you pick it up, or the fire goes out long enough for the egg to become cold again, the 30 minutes of warmth will have to restart all over again. After 30 minutes of uninterrupted warmth, the Asksvin egg will hatch into an Asksvin calf. No. And after another 50 minutes, this calf will grow up into a fully grown and tamed Asksvin. I don't think the Asksvin eggs themselves have any other use currently than to be hatched, unlike the chicken eggs, which were also used in cooking, but this may change in the future. But it's always a good idea to keep some eggs aside somewhere safe, just in case something happens to your main herd. As with the other tamed animals in the game, breeding gives you really easy access to some great drops. Asksvin calves have a 20% chance of dropping either an Asksvin bladder, hide, and tail, whereas the adults drop 1 Asksvin bladder, 2 Asksvin hide, 2 Asksvin tail, and have a 20% chance of dropping a trophy. These Asksvin drops are extremely useful, and no matter what kind of character build you're going for, you're likely going to need a ton of these materials. Asksvin hides are a component of each of the 3 new armor sets, both new capes and several new weapons. The Asksvin tail can be cooked on its own, but is better saved for the cauldron, being an ingredient in 3 of the 9 new food recipes, including the most health-rich food currently in the game, the pecan pie. The Asksvin bladder can be used to make basalt bombs, which allow you to create temporary platforms in the lava, and smoke bombs, which extinguish fires with varying levels of success. And lastly, the Asksvin trophy is needed to craft the new Golder Table upgrade. Asksvin can also be found in the 1 and 2 star variety, which means they'll drop significantly more materials when they die, and also have much higher stats in life. This star level will be passed down to any offspring that individual gives birth to, so it's definitely a good idea to prioritize breeding your starred Asksvin over your regular ones. When you eventually want to cash in your tame Asksvin for a new robe, the butcher knife can be used to give your animals a quick death. But the drops aren't the only reason you should consider taming some Asksvin. They're pretty handy for defense, and just like Glocks, Asksvin can also be ridden, using the Asksvin saddle, which will make navigating the newest biome so much easier, allowing you to cross the boiling waters that surround the Ashlands and the lava flows in its interior, without taking any damage. Very handy for getting to those flame metal ores, and getting away safely from them. Once you've crafted the Asksvin saddle at the Black Forge, add it to one of your hotkeys and equip it to your tamed Asksvin. Hover over the saddle and press E to use. To head forward, hit W, and to stop, hit S. To run, hold left shift, which you'll see will start to deplete your Asksvin's stamina bar. To steer, hold W and move the mouse in the direction that you want to go, as so. As you ride, you'll also gain XP towards the riding skill, which will reduce the stamina your Lox or Asksvin use, and allow them to run faster. Sadly, you can't use your weapons while riding the Asksvin, so if you get into any trouble, it's probably best to make a run for it or get off the Asksvin and team up. If it gets hurt, you can always toss some food its way and it should begin to heal. Once you're done, press left shift E to remove the saddle from your Asksvin. Thanks for watching, and a massive thank you to my incredible Patreons for their support. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and comment, and subscribe if you want to see more Ashland guides coming soon. Perhaps you'd even enjoy this other Valheim guide I did. But until the next one, have a great day.